how to pick a blockchain that won't shut down, because blockchains are not always guaranteed to be successful if there are no users there transacting on that chain, no revenue is being created. If there's no TVL there, that is total value locked, that means no one trusts that chain. And if a blockchain isn't getting these users and developers don't want to develop there because there are no users, they're going to go to the bigger blockchains that will succeed over time. And that's what we're looking at in this video. We're looking at the top 10 blockchains that I think will be here a year from now. And now this is just my own opinion, and I did a lot of research, so if you want to stick around for the whole thing, you might get some valuable insights. Because crypto moves fast, and we have to move a little faster. Alright, if that sounds good, I'm Dan, and let's dive in. Right now, there are hundreds and thousands of different blockchains you can invest in, and they're all very risky. So we want to look at the things that give you the highest chance of success. Now, if you are in a blockchain and it is just launching, the biggest opportunity there is to get an airdrop and get out. Because for the most part, a lot of them don't survive because they just don't have that community. They don't have developers building there for the long term. A lot of them are just incentivized to be there early, but not incentivized to be there for a long time. So these are things we should consider and avoid if we are looking for longer term investments. But short term, great, be there early, get those airdrops, and I love covering that stuff on the channel anyway. So the lesson there is, be early, get those airdrops, but look for the blockchains that have been established, that are growing, that people can trust. First up, Bittensor. Now, Bittensor is decentralized AI, and I know AI is one of the biggest things in recent times because there are new products coming out all the time. But there is a large decentralized AI ecosystem built on Bittensor. So we can see here the Tau market overview, the different subnets, and they're all building together because with Bittensor, it is this decentralized AI system. When they learn something individually, they all learn it together. If they need to fix something or update that information, they all get that at the same time. So it's these multiple subnets or individual businesses working together to build out a decentralized AI system where they all can learn and grow together. Now that does make it difficult to compete in Web 2, but what's more impressive is their backing, because they are backed by Barry Silbert, the founder and CEO of Digital Currency Group, a major investment firm in the crypto space with stakes in numerous blockchain projects. So they invest in a lot of projects, but they are pretty big on Bittensor, as well as Tom Lee, co-founder and head of research at Fundstrat Global Advisors, a Wall Street research firm and a prominent financial analyst often featured on CNBC and other media. So you have the traditional finance side of things believing in Bittensor and sharing what they're doing, and we're starting to see that on the traditional finance side of things as some of these companies are becoming treasuries for Tau, where what they do is buy Tau, put it in their treasury, and we might start seeing more of that. The market cap is still pretty low, but as we've seen, traditional finance wants to invest in crypto. Coinbase and Circle Stock has been pumping, and potentially we can see a lot more of that as these legitimate traditional finance people promote Bittensor. Hyperliquid. Now this is a blockchain that focuses just on trading, so they want a fast and seamless experience. And they've done a really good job of that because they've made over $500,000 in the last 24 hours just in fees. Now what makes them interesting is that they built all these different products for traders. They know who their audience is and they target them specifically. Now what makes them interesting is they have a lot of different products for traders and investors. There's different vaults you can create, you can refer people, you can earn from people using your vaults. Now, another good thing about the fees that they are generating for trading, 97% of their profits go into buying back their own token, which makes it deflationary. So the more people use it, the more value the token has. So that's why developers want to build on Hyperliquid, and we see the TVL growing over time because they have a loyal user base, they are DeFi native, and if you are building a DeFi product that can cater to those users, that's the blockchain you want to be on. So that's why we have a lot of growing applications in the Hyperliquid ecosystem, even though it's been live for less than a year. Worldcoin or World Chain. Now, what makes them interesting is they have a big Web 2 presence. You can actually go to physical locations to get your eye or face scanned, where they actually pay you to get onboarded into their ecosystem. Now, not anyone is doing this. This is the only blockchain that I know of that is setting up physical locations and paying to onboard users. So they have a bigger Web 2 presence that can actually onboard users into crypto. So that's what makes them interesting. Now, using their app is actually really fluid. It's all one-click confirmations. You don't need to allow anything. And from other DeFi apps, it is very simple and intuitive. So that's what we want to see if we're going to onboard new users into crypto. We want to see a smooth and simple experience where you don't need to watch YouTube videos to learn how to use them. So that's what makes Worldcoin interesting, but what is it? It is a proof of identity. So you get your face scanned, you are one user, you are proven to be a person, you are not a bot, you're not this bot farm that someone is generating fake transactions with, so you have proof of humanity. It's an ecosystem of apps and integrations for humans. That's what they lean into for Worldcoin. As for apps that you can use, there are quite a few of them, but you have to really go through the Worldcoin app and register to get started. So there are some limitations, but they are growing very quickly as they are using their budget to onboard people and pay to onboard them. So I think they are an interesting one to watch. Again, for the token price, could be going down because they're paying a lot of people, but opportunities in their ecosystem. Sui. Now, Sui is one of my favorite blockchains, and you've probably seen that if you follow this channel. I've been making content about them for the last few years. So why is Sui interesting? Well, they provide a very good user experience. If you want to make transactions, it's only one click on Sui, while on an EVM chain, you have to approve things. There's just more clicks, there's more friction, and it's not as smooth because Sui uses parallel transactions, meaning you can do multiple actions in one transaction. So that means you can swap, you can loan, you can stake, you can do all these different things at one time. Additionally, Sui uses an object-based model, meaning everything in their blockchain is an object. So if you connect your wallet to a suspicious site, you're not going to get drained if they're trying to extract your assets or move your assets out of your wallet into their wallet. You're going to see that happening in the wallet in simple terms, so you won't get scammed. Or at least, hopefully, you won't get scammed. You still might click it and not read the transaction, so be very careful out there. Whereas what we've seen in the EVM world, maybe you're trying to claim an airdrop on a suspicious site, you connect your wallet, all your funds are gone. So that isn't something that's going to happen on Sui because they provide a safer, more secure user experience. And from what I've seen from developers, they like building there just because everything is very predictable, everything is set up in a way that makes it easier for them to build. And if it's easy for developers to build there, they're going to build there. If there's an audience of users there, they're going to want to build there even more. Additionally, with the object-based model, let's say you own an NFT or a SuiPlay 0x1, and that's an object on the blockchain, your object can get airdrops. So they add all these different features to make the user experience even better, and they continue to innovate. Now, you probably are wondering, what is this? This is a gaming handheld that they developed and will launch this summer, the SuiPlay 0x1. This allows you to play Web 2 and Web 3 games, and I think they're launching with a 10,000 unit amount and maybe more if it goes well. But this is a device that is going to compete on the hardware level of the Steam Deck at a similar price while being able to play those Web 2 and Web 3 games, so it gives you full access to everything available online. So with that, I see a lot of innovation, a good user experience, and a lot of momentum, which is why I'm bullish on what Sui is building for the long term. Solana. Now, Solana is one of the top blockchains out there by TVL. It is in second place right after Ethereum. Well, almost. Ethereum has $62 billion of TVL, and Solana has $8.5 billion, while Binance Smart Chain about 6 billion, Base 3.3, Arbitrum 2.4, Sui at 1.7. So that says a lot. That means users trust their money on Solana, that there are people using that platform because it's a fast and good experience, and they support developers. So developers are building there, users are there. It is this large ecosystem. People don't want to gamble on new blockchains. They want to go where the party is at. And we can see that there is a big party on Solana. Now, most of the activity on Solana kind of comes from Pump.phone, which is this meme coin launchpad. Basically, anyone can make a coin in seconds. And within the Solana ecosystem, there's a lot of revenue being made. So we can see that Pump Fund in the last 24 hours made $1 million. Meteora made $364,000. And those are the most significant ones. So we can see that a lot of the activity happening on Solana is through Pump Fund, meme coins, and that's just because there's a lot of people there that can drive attention to new things that are being built. But Solana is much more than a blockchain. They also dive into real-world products like the Solana Seeker, which is a mobile phone that is available soon, as well as the Play Solana, the PSG1, which is kind of like a Game Boy type device for Solana games, and maybe more. I pre-ordered one, so we'll see what that's like. I'll give that review once I have it. So we can't ignore Solana having this much traction, this much momentum, and such a large user base. There is always going to be opportunity when there are users. Kaia. Now, Kaia is a layer 1 EVM chain, meaning it works a lot like Ethereum. It uses the same tools and wallets and technology, but it's built on Line. Now, Line is a messaging app that is big in Asia, it's big in Japan, Taiwan, Thailand, and they have millions of users. But those users now have access to Kaia. It is a blockchain with decentralized finance, with games, and more. Unfortunately, it is not doing well. So Kaia launched on Line Messenger at the beginning of this year, January 21, 2025. And since then, it hasn't been doing well. But this is something I'm going to continue watching because Asia's presence in crypto has been growing, and I think there just isn't enough awareness yet for Web 2 users to understand that they can be bridged over to Web 3 very easily. So these people do not need to set up a wallet. Their Line account, their Messenger account that they have now, is a crypto wallet. So it's just bridging that information in and onboarding those users. And again, Kaia is very interesting because it is incredibly easy to get started. If you are an existing Line user, you just look for DApp portal, you click on that guy, that brings you to their intro page, and then you just hit portal at the lower left here. It is out of focus, but it'll be in focus soon. Mini play, big rewards. We're just going to close that pop-up, and then you can see home, trade, market, and my wallet. So it's incredibly easy to get started. We just haven't seen Web 2 know about it, acknowledge it, or anything interesting enough for them to get involved. So I'm waiting to see more momentum before diving into Kaia as far as investing, but there is a lot of potential there. We're watching Sony because Sony is launching a blockchain, Soneium. This was announced last year, and they have been making a lot of progress. Now, if you're not familiar with blockchain technology, neither are they. They don't have to be, because they are building on top of the OP stack, that is the Optimism technology. Optimism is a blockchain that is used by other blockchains as well, like Base and more. So they are using existing technology to get on chain and build out products. Now, this is very interesting because Sony is a very trusted company, and they build a lot of things in technology as well as banks. So in this major move by Sony Bank JP, they have partnered with Soneium. This initiative addresses key challenges for financial institutions and demonstrates how traditional finance can evolve with maintaining security standards. Now, I did a little bit of research on Sony Bank JP. They have a few million dollars. They have a few million customers. They have a few $1 billion under management. And this could create the rails for bridging Web 2 and Web 3, bringing people on-chain, creating on-ramps and off-ramps. A lot of buzzwords, but lots of potential. Additionally, intellectual property, anime, and IP are part of the culture. Now it's on-chain with Soneium. So this was announced earlier this year in April. The Anime Art Festival is live, built by San Fran Tokyo's Anime ID Anime Foundation. Now, Sony does own intellectual property for anime, so we could see digital collectibles, NFTs, and things like that in the future. So that's why I think Soneium is something to watch, because they have the reputation, they have the technology behind them, they have consumers that might be a little more tech savvy and more willing to venture into the blockchain world. Now, Soneium hasn't officially launched a token yet. If you are using their blockchain, you would be using Ethereum for gas fees, but the potential of investing in Soneium is being a part of their ecosystem and looking for the new projects early that could take off if their ecosystem starts to grow. BNB Chain, originally known as Binance Smart Chain, the DeFi section of Binance, one of the largest or the largest crypto exchange in the world, which means they make a lot of money, because crypto exchanges make a lot of money. You see trading volume, they take a cut of all the fees, they make money. Now, BNB Chain is also doing well because it is one of the largest blockchains out there by TVL. So you can see in fourth place, BSC. It's still labeled as one of their older names, Binance Smart Chain. And just a brief thing, this is DeFi Llama. It just tells you what's going on in the DeFi ecosystem. So you can see that Binance Smart Chain, or now known as BNB Chain, $6 billion of TVL in fourth place. And in the last 24 hours, they earned $280,000 in fees. Now, if we go to Dex Screener, we can see just in the last 24 hours as well, there was almost $13 billion in volume, meaning there's a lot of activity there, there's a lot of coins, there's a lot of people trading, and a lot of opportunities. So we really can't ignore BNB Chain when it comes to blockchains to watch, because they have a lot of users, they have a lot of money floating around. You just have to find the opportunities. On a more technical side of things, it's the same. It's the same as a lot of the other blockchains. You know, most blockchains do the exact same thing when it comes to an EVM chain. That is something like BNB Chain, Kaia, Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, things like that. A lot of blockchains have the same experience, they have the same wallets you can use everywhere, and using these decentralized applications, or dApps, works exactly the same way, but we want momentum. We want to go somewhere where there are users, where there's trading volume, where people are building, and that's why Binance Smart Chain, or BNB Chain, stands out. And on that same note, we have Base. Now, BNB Chain is its own layer 1 blockchain. They are building out the technology themselves, they're maintaining their own infrastructure, while Base is doing something different. Now, Base is by Coinbase, the biggest US exchange in the world, or I guess the biggest US exchange, and they've only been getting bigger this year. They're also launching perpetual trading, which should drive a lot of volume. Now, the DeFi side of things of Coinbase is Base. Base is a layer 2 blockchain built using the Optimism stack, the OP stack. So they are relying on Optimism to do all the technology for them to build out their blockchain infrastructure. Now, those are boring words, but we have to look on-chain and see how do they compare. So Base is currently in 6th place when it comes to TVL with $3.4 billion on-chain, and Binance Smart Chain, or BNB Chain, is almost double at $6 billion. Now, it really doesn't matter what this number is. We just want to see growth. We want to see them here next year. We want to invest in blockchains that are going to be around, which is why it's easier to trust these larger exchanges to stick around, to support their builders, to support their community, and to survive long term, because it's hard to see that in other projects. And if we look at the growth of Base on Chain, It has only been going up. They just keep growing as an ecosystem. And recently, JP Morgan announced that they're going to launch a stablecoin on the Base blockchain. So there is a lot of growth and adoption happening on Base, and I think we'll only see more. But if you're a degen trading meme coins and trying to be early to things, you don't see the same type of volume there. So in the last 24 hours, 500,000,000, while there's been 12 million on Binance Smart Chain. Now that is a crazy exception because BSC or BNB Chain does crazy volume even compared to Solana at 9 billion, Ethereum at 2 billion. So if you are a degen, if you like meme coins, if you like taking on a lot of risk, there are opportunities on BNB Chain. Base, maybe we'll see more traditional finance adoption there. And if you are going to get started on Base, they have not launched a token yet. They haven't suggested that they will launch a token. So if you are going to use the Base blockchain, know that you have to use ETH for gas fees, and they might have an airdrop in the future if they ever decide to say, hey, we're going to make a token. And then in our last spot to watch, Arbitrum and Optimism. I know those are two different blockchains, but they're kind of the same thing as far as strategy. They both develop technology for other blockchains to use their technology. So there are many blockchains built using Arbitrum and Optimism. So if we look at the OP stack, we can see that Base is built there, Mode, Zora, Clique, Orderly, Derived, Bob, and more. And if we look at the Arbitrum stack, we have Arbitrum 1, Degen, Proof of Play, which you might know from Pirate Nation, Sanko, Rari, XAI, Xchain, I don't know all of these, Ape Chain, Molten Network, and more. So the value of these chains are they allow other businesses or people to launch their own blockchain. So instead of making just their blockchain successful, they're helping other people launch too. Now that drives value back to them because they're using their network, they're within their ecosystem, and it makes things also interoperable. So if we want to kind of simplify this, say you have a KFC and you have a Taco Bell. Well, if they're in the same building, you have interoperability. You could get a little bit of KFC, you could get a little bit of Taco Bell, and that's all under the same building. Now that same building would be equivalent to Arbitrum or Optimism, the underlying technology that allows them to connect with each other. So that's like a building. Or if we say a mall, a shopping mall, let's say the shopping mall is Arbitrum, and then everything inside is a blockchain, and then every item in that store or each individual store is a decentralized application. So, some products might have more attention than others, some more traffic than others, but it's all accessible and interoperable within that building. I don't know if that made sense. Let me know in the comments if it didn't, because I made that up right now. And yeah, I'm going to add stuff to make sure that makes sense. So that's why you should be watching Arbitrum and Optimism, because they allow other people to build blockchains using their technology, making them even more valuable. So we can see Base is in 6th place, but the OP stack or OP mainnet Optimism is ranked 22nd. That doesn't necessarily mean Optimism is bad, but they can take credit for 6th place because they gave Base the technology to get there. We went over quite a few different blockchains, and we want to look for things to build for the long term because we don't want to lose money in a blockchain that isn't going to be here a year from now. So we want to look at things that have that potential growth, that can get that traction, or have an existing consumer base that can only seem to go up from now. So those are things we should be looking at. As far as crypto tools and experience, they all pretty much work the same way once you get comfortable with it. Some have better user experiences than others, some have more innovation than others, but for the most part, they all are providing decentralized applications that you can use from your own wallet. So in the sea of hundreds and thousands of different blockchains out there, you want to look for things that have potential, and I think these are the blockchains that are still going to be around a year from now, hopefully with even more adoption than there is today. That's why I want to focus on strong ecosystems that have that growth, that have that support to onboard new developers, new users, and can continue to grow and create these opportunities. Now, if you're looking at a brand new blockchain, I'd be very careful. I'd probably just get in for the airdrop and any early stage rewards, but I'd be looking to exit whenever the price starts dropping because it's really hard to sustain a new blockchain. It's really hard to get new users. It's hard to get people to trust you. So that's why you need a lot of money to launch a blockchain now to stay competitive. All right, well, if this video was helpful or you just need more support in crypto, feel free to join the community or the live streams on the weekend. If this video was helpful, engage with it, like it, do stuff. Yeah, that would help me out and I would appreciate it. All right, with that, I hope you got your full value for today.